Hi guys.
Welcome to
EPs and LPs
with Cokes and
OB, and here today we have with us. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Marenikae and I am an Afro-merge artist.
Ooh, okay, nice. Thank you actually for the heads up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Good to have you here. Hope you're doing okay.
yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here as
Yeah, you
well.
look really good.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you look great. You look
Y'all do
amazing.
too. Thank
Yes.
you.
We try.
Yeah, I mean, like, you might as well.
No, okay.
So the reason we're here actually,
Yeah.
to know you, especially about your music. So for starters, want to know, how did you get into music? What was the inspiration? How did you start doing music?
Yeah.
So I started doing music. My father owned like a record label back in the day called African in Vogue, and he discovered Daddy Shoki, Baba Frayo, Julius Agu.
Stop it.
Wow.
No, stop.
Yes, Plantation Boys shot their first video at my house.
Wow.
My guest house, like back in the day.
Wow. Okay.
So that was like his whole.
I'm sad. I'm sad.
Like, bro.
Okay.
She said I'm up.
Tell
Okay.
me, yeah.
So that was how I started. My parents are both into theater arts. So my father did that. He decided that he wanted to be. Luckily, my dad just a creative who had parents that are ready to pay for whatever he wanted, which was awesome.
Nice.
So after he did that, he was like, "I want to make movies now." So he directed and wrote the Nigerian movie Shango back in the day.
Wow.
So it was a big deal at the time because every time
No,
we
it
go
is
to
a big deal. I
places-
remember Shango.
you
I
do?
watched Shango.
You
What? Yes.
Wow.
Did you watch it?
I heard about it, but I don't.
Oh my god, no, I
It's
watched
like-
it.
Yeah.
It was a big deal at the time because it was like, I think it was the first time that like a
Yeah.
Nigerian like myth had been put to a movie.
Yeah.
So they invited my parents to really like take the movie out. Although now I watch it now and I'm like, yo, the production.
Is it?
I was like, the production.
No, but back then I
Well, thank
remember
God
the
for
movie
growth.
was like.
No, thank God for good. And it was like it was really expensive at the time. It actually made me think because I watch Shango and I compare it to movies from that time
Yeah.
and the budgets, and I'm like, the thing
It was
about Nigeria
different.
is different because it's like the same budget. Just because you're in a different place, the quality is different, you know.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like I appreciate them from being like, you know, for pioneering
Right.
that
Yeah,
like
that's
new
good. Wow,
thing.
that's
Ahead of their
actually
time.
And right, exactly. And it made me just be more familiar with like Yoruba culture, because everybody asks me, like every time anybody asks me where I'm from, I always say like I'm a multi-ethnic Nigerian. And they're like, oh wow, what does that mean? Because I have like 3 Yoruba names.
Okay.
Every time I introduce myself with my name, oh hi, my name is Marenikae Mojisola Olayemi Lasade, everybody starts speaking Yoruba
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
And then I have to be like, oh,
But-
my dad's not
but-
really Yoruba. And my mom is effing.
Yeah.
I don't understand
Yeah.
Yoruba. Like I don't it's
know.
always like a weird
Okay.
like thing. So having like my dad having made Shango and then getting in touch with his like Yoruba culture as well was very important, and just very like it was an important memory for me, like as far as like building identity.
Yes.
Even though like it's not all the way there, because like I say to my mom all the time, like because she's Calabar and my dad is half Yoruba and doesn't have any connection to Yoruba culture,
Okay.
I always felt like a spectator, like a spectator into like Yoruba
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
you know, and it just never felt like I was
Part
part of it. But also my mom, also being a Calabar person who actually is very much into the Nigerian, like, oh, do what you're from, where your father is from.
Yeah.
She kind of pushed that on us, like,
you.
oh yeah, Yoruba children, but it's like, dad doesn't speak Yoruba.
Okay.
My grandmother is Sierra Leonean.
Oh, wow.
What do we do?
Super
Like
amazing.
what? Like what do
Yeah,
we do?
which one?
Like I said, so it was very important. And that gave me like a great foundation. I decided to do music. I recorded my first demos when I was like 15 or 16. Wrote those songs by myself, and my parents were so impressed by how like I guess adult it sounded, because I started off writing like music that was like very like bluesy, neo soul,
right.
was not pop or anything at all. At like 16 years, I remember like at 16, I wrote a song about like the pain like it feels to lose like your partner, like your boyfriend, like
Oh,
when
wow.
he dies.
Okay.
And my mom was like, "What are you
Where did
going
you get that
through?
from?"
Exactly, like you're 17. What are you going through? Like you have
What
homework."
happened?
Actually, it's
Literally.
grounds for you to have that conversation.
Literally that
like,
conversation. She's like, "What are
sit
you
down.
imagining?" No, she's like, "Are you imagining your partner died?
Yeah.
Are you like, what is this?"
Where's
What
is
this
this?
coming from?
And I'm like, I had to say like it's actually like my worst fear, and I felt like if I put it down in a song, it made me like, or it helped me like just visually like write out what my worst fear is. So it wasn't just like, oh, my partner died, but it's also like my partner dying, me going to the apartment and all his clothes are still in the closet.
Right.
Like everything, the toothbrush is still there. Everything is the way it is, but the person is never coming back to the house.
Okay.
And
So was that
Yeah.
for a way like for you to process that fear that you had at that age? At
yes,
17?
it did.
Okay.
At the time, like I didn't know that's what was happening because I've never been like a particular like woo person in the sense that like, you know, I'm writing my trauma and I'm writing my this. Like I was not. It was just like, oh, this is a great story.
Okay,
This is a great story. So I had to tell my mom like, hey, no, I'm not fantasizing my husband dying. Not fantasizing my boyfriend
This
dying.
is just in case.
It's just
if it did happen.
Yes, it's just a fear that I have.
Okay.
But most especially, like I said, it wasn't only the fear of the person dying. It was the fear of coming back to your house
And everything
after the person died, and everything is just as it was. So we had to have like a lot of like serious like conversations about
Definitely.
that. But I feel like that also kind of what made my parents take me seriously.
Right.
The first song I ever wrote was this song called Happiness Pill, which is about like being on drugs. And my mom is so funny because she's like, you were 15 writing that, but you're a stoner now. So is that like foreshadowing? How
How did that come?
how did that happen?
wow.
Yeah, you know, so they were literally just kind of impressed by the subject matter that I was writing. They hadn't put me in any like singing classes or anything like that, or any songwriting classes or any like vocal development classes, but I was stacking harmonies and all of that stuff. Yeah, so
Wow.
my parents were like,
Natural.
okay, yeah, natural. So my parents were like, okay, like I think that we should, you know, support this. So from there, they kind of supported it. Supported my first mixtape. Right after I got a scholarship to go to school in Massachusetts. So I left and I went to Massachusetts. Put my dream on hold for a while. I kind of waited until I got older, but at this time, still recording demos, still writing, like still like kind of honing the craft, finding out my style, whatever. And then in my sophomore year in Massachusetts, I began going to vocal lessons.
Oh,
My amazing vocal instructor, Deborah Perry, at the time, she was the only vocal instructor right by my school. I went to the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth.
Okay.
So Dartmouth is like a very small town, very tiny town. And it's like right there. Sorry to digress.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
There's
that's
no
all right.
link to it. Okay.
Sorry to digress.
Right.
I had never met a Cape Verdean person
Okay.
until like
I still haven't.
I left.
Have you?
No.
But the thing about Massachusetts is that there is like right next to Dartmouth is this small community called Fall River that is just like Cape Verdean people.
Wow.
Wow.
Cape Verdean people, the only time I had ever like I have not met a Cape Verdean person since. But like coming from Nigeria and seeing like pockets of little like ethnic things happening, like there was like there's this place called Worcester where like all the Ghanaians live. But it's like there's so many Ghanaians that you can get like Ghanaian jollof rice like at the gas station, like at the moment,
So
at the
small
Texaco.
community.
Yes, like it was all of
Okay.
those like little like interesting things.
Did that also influence your music in any way?
It did though, because it was like, okay, now I'm coming in touch with like different cultures, who, I mean, you can argue that Cape Verdeans are like, you know, African diaspora people.
Yeah.
So it's like different things from the diaspora, different things from like different African nations that I never like had ever encountered before.
Yeah.
So that actually like helped me well, let me say this. I absorbed all of those things. And then like maybe a couple of years later, like I decided to kind of put everything I absorbed to practice. Yeah.
No,
It's a very
that's-
long story.
No, it was very.
No, but it's good details.
Thank
still, 'cause,
you.
like, they're
Very
still connected
corporate.
to
Yeah,
the music.
exactly. How it all came about.
Right.
So I know you mentioned your dad, who we also, you know, saw that he's a director, producer, but we didn't know that those are the types of movies
Wow.
that he actually worked on. So it's like, you know, very, very legendary.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
so funny because when they have the Nepo baby conversations, I'm like,
Yes.
I'm the only person that can't be a Nepo baby because my dad like argued with like everybody that he ever worked with. So I would go to places like people who work. I'm like, oh, are you from last day's daughter?
Oh,
Are you trying to drop a demo? Oh no, you need to go home. Oh, you need to go home.
So it's like the
anti-Nepo baby. Like we went from like I would go to the airport and people were like, hey, last day was this last day. I only know like one last day.
Yeah.
I related to Femi last day. We went from that to now actually me being in the
Okay,
industry.
please take this away.
Going to be like, oh no, your father screwed me over. Like y'all need to leave.
No, oh my God.
Y'all need to go home. Oh my god,
Okay.
no. The head of Sound City, I won't say his name right now. I went to go submit like my
Something
video.
there, right there, 'cause people be like, yeah, I know who the heck
But like not at this time. You don't know what time. There've been different, you know.
Okay.
Literally
Different
went
time.
in to submit my video and everything and like my song and everything, and he's like, what's your last name?
Again.
He's like, last name. He's like,
So-
let me tell you what your
Something.
father did to me.
So have you ever thought of doing a Cumberbatch?
A Cumberbatch, like a restoration, like
a separate name, like something, just
what?
something.
And that's why, like, I literally just say, like, my name is Marenikae. But I think is that people, once you meet Yoruba people,
Right.
so ask who are your parents, who's your father. But what even makes it worse is that my last name, Lasade, is not even like a proper Yoruba last name. So like, it's like my grandfather had this thing where he wanted his descendants to be separate from everybody else.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he literally just carved
Created
out
his
my
own.
literally last out the original last name. So you have an addition of me trying to explain like how I have 4 Yoruba names
Right.
and a weird bastardized Nigerian last. It's just unnecessarily complicated.
So right, but I feel like if anything,
Yeah. The anti-Nipo. Yes, that was me. Yes, absolutely. He was like, "Oh, we're not playing videos over here.
Wow.
We're not playing music over here." He was talking about, "Oh, when I was starting out, like your dad said I could use this space, and then he came, and then he said you couldn't use the space, and
So
all
people,
the crew
so you're
was
telling me to be,
there."
I mean,
Wow, so-
Obi is in media as well, right?
15 years
he
ago.
does
Oh,
work
wow.
with, he works with the media
Yes.
company.
So-
So I'm asking now, I feel like to Obi, in terms of, do people hold on to
Hold to
grudges?
grudge. I feel like
Do people
they
hold
do.
on to grudges that long? In
I mean,
media
people,
industry?
I think it's a person thing. Like, people think, people actually would just hold on to grudges. No, I wouldn't say maybe because it's a media thing.
But do you
It's a
feel like I
person
feel like
thing,
because
actually.
the entertainment industry is very much like on relationships, so like those things can really like it
They
can
count.
count for you more.
True though,
than
actually,
other
yes,
people.
actually, to be
Other,
honest,
like,
because
industry,
there's
yeah,
preferences.
Yes,
actually, like
absolutely.
you have that advantage in a certain situation because of the relationship you have with certain
Exactly.
people.
Yes.
So yeah, I would say I think that's even like with every aspect of life, every would I say job.
But like, more so entertainment. Because sometimes people do
Exactly.
things just favor.
Exactly, and I have to be like, hey, I'm not my father, right? This is 15 years
Yeah,
ago.
Look at me now.
This has nothing to do.
Yeah.
Try me.
This has nothing to do with
I get
me, and I mean that's been, but I don't want to say like it's all bad because like even like a single that I released like maybe 2 years ago that was my one single that was made by like a powerhouse Nigerian producer, Cobhams. Like it only happened because Cobhams used to intern for my dad back in the day, and he didn't have a negative experience.
Okay, yeah. No, I don't. I mean, you can't really be mean to Cobhams.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, first of all,
Cobhams.
ableism.
It's Cobhams.
Every single
What are you gonna
thing.
do?
Like, no.
Yeah.
But he was very nice to me. I flew into Houston to work with him. They, like, they hosted me at their house. I met his entire
lovely.
family. Like,
So lovely.
and he was like, like when I was 16 and I was starting out in studios, like, your dad let me sleep in the studio. And I'm like, oh, the one person.
He was actually nice to.
Ended up being Cobhams. Awesome. Great.
Okay. No, good.
Thank
You. So all of perfect. I mean, that was like amazing sort of info, and it really just gives a perspective into like how you got into it. So for you, it seems like music was almost destined. It was like you were kind of born into
exactly.
music and the arts. So I feel like in terms of the music that you do, that you then started to create. Like how would you say? You did describe that sound, but how do you sort of start to produce that type of music? What is the sort of process behind it?
Okay, it's a very funny anti-black story.
Oh.
So
Okay.
Wow.
So-
my antennas are on.
yeah.
Okay, sensitive.
But it also, came from that time where, like, because I started recording and writing. This was before, like, Tiwa Savage came out. We had, like, an Afro-pop kind of explosion. So it was usually the people that were doing, like, typically, like, and I would call this Afro R&B back in the time, but it was not the Afro R&B that we know today. So there was always that, like, oh, like, well, you have a soulful voice. Like, you can appeal to non-Nigerians. Like, you can appeal to Westerners because your music is more bluesy and all of that stuff. So, it was very much like that. And I'm practical. That's what it was very much like, you don't have to appeal to the Nigerian audience.
Is that something you want to do?
No. But this is what was told to me at the time because, again, when I was first starting out, Wizkid had just dropped his album. There was a very particular type of Nigerian sound. I did not even grow up like in a very like typical Nigerian household. Couldn't really speak Yoruba name. Understand Calabar. Calabar is a minority language. No one is making pop music in Calabar. Or in Efik, sorry. So it was just like a very an interesting weird place where it felt like I had to either be like the Davidos, the Wizkids at the time, remember, or I had to be like this kind of foreign blues, whatever. When Tiwa came and she really was like, oh no, like we can do something both different. Of this together. Okay. I was like, oh, because Tiwa, regardless of how people feel,
right?
Tiwa is like our first Afro-pop princess. Like I said, that she's mother, like she deserves all the respect because she did something. People. Yes, she did something really amazing. She did something different. Although, like I would say that she built on like what like Plantation Boys, those early boy bands were doing, where they were like incorporating the R&B.
But you think? I mean, everyone kind of did that.
Yeah, yes. Sure. Like,
at the time, but I feel like
nowadays artists.
I mean, I don't want to really expose. Like a
don't just
I don't want to put like the age difference on blacks. But I don't know. In terms, I feel like maybe like Obi's like I don't know, maybe generation's first experience of Afrobeats might have been like Wizkid and Davidos, where we had like the Plantation
and the Star Plus.
I mean, like I was still listening to the Star Plus, Plantation Boys.
Oh yes, okay. But it was really like an optional thing.
Yeah, because they never saw the trend. Like I think they never saw the trend.
Was it like what was popping when
that was what like my mom shoved down my face.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
but also I feel like y'all never really saw that transition that we went from Daddy Shoki to like Onyeka Onwenu when she started. There was like a very definite switch that happened. Then Onyeka had that song that was popular. There was really no pidgin in it. It was very much like English, and then like we now get all the pop.
So there was an era of Nigerian music where it was like trying to be American
exactly, Americanized
before we then switched into Nigerian.
And I would say that P-Square's first album was very much like a part of that era where we were still trying to. And my friend told me they can't put that album on streaming services because of like all like the sampling and all of that stuff. Yes. So they were really like interpolating, they were really sampling and doing all of that stuff. So I feel like that kind of era really kind of like made me realize like, oh, well, I can do this. Like I already do this. I love Nigerian music. Right. All of these other artists are like being able to experiment and create new things or whatever. So I kind of feel like, okay, I could do like my own thing in that way. Okay.
So did that influence? So your influence, is it more from the Americanized style or the Nigerianized new age modern Afrobeat?
Even like the Nigerianized is like a westernized. It's like a Nigerianized westernized version. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not even like when I listen to like Fireboy and all the new people, it's given very much Afro R&B, Afro soul.
So is that where you sit? Is that where you are?
I would definitely say like I sit there. I try to make like my own. In fact, Timmy Dollface.
Okay.
Was like my own kind of like pioneer of like the kind of music that I make, because, and it's so funny because somebody actually told me recently that I remind them of Timmy Dollface, and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy to me, something to like remind them of like something that you're inspired by. So like she was the person who I was that person who was always calling Ajebutter, like everywhere I went. Oh, Ajebutter, yeah, this, yeah, that. So my first like official product that I put out was called Ajebutter, and it was literally just westernized Nigerian style music, interpolating like classics that I love from back in the day. I remember the first song on the project is called Rose High. It's interpolating Dario Arsalade. We have a song on the album that's interpolating like Backstreet Boys from like back in the day. Okay. So I kind of like really, for my first project, I really reached out like into like all my influences and put all that shit together. Now though, after that happened, I did an abridged version of the project, and I put that out. I re-edited, remastered, put that out, and then like from that moment, I think my mom put me like in writing camps in Nigeria. For the whole of 2020, I was like in a couple of different writing camps in Nigeria, just writing, learning how to write like Afrobeat music properly, like how they do it, different places they do it. Even though like I don't really speak like any what would I say, dominant Nigerian languages.
So in terms of that, your first album, Ajebutter, do you feel like you pulled the name and the influence from the album based on what everybody had called you?
Yes.
Yes.
It was, but in hindsight, very tone deaf. You know what I mean? Hindsight, very tone deaf, because like why would I want to be like? I mean, now that I understand like how class works and all of those different things, in hindsight, I probably would not have called my album Ajebutter.
Yeah.
Even though like I feel like it was describing a very particular experience, but it was also like a very like like it's not you just
I mean, in a way, I get that. Well, I don't know. It's what I say is tone deaf because I feel like in Nigeria, when it's you, I mean, it's like any term. It's because it's not derogatory. I feel like it's like any term where when you're using it to describe yourself, it's kind of okay.
Yes.
And also because you are Nigerian, it's the honest truth.
Sometimes
Sometimes you have artists that try to shy away from who they really are and try to adopt the trenches.
Yes. Oh, I hate
grass to grace. Story.
Oh, I hate them people.
Right.
No, actually, in hindsight, like, yeah, so, like, I understood, but I felt like so me saying that I called myself an Ajebutter at the time, it was because, like, based on, like, secondary school, like, my experience, that's what everybody would call me. Like, in fact, there was a song that I remember, like, somebody used to sing for me, pretty much, like, on Ajebutter, like, you're going to melt in the sun.
Was this in secondary school?
That was the sun.
I mean, like,
I know my mom took me to, like, so I went to Christian College for secondary school, which, as anybody knows, it is like that's screaming, not just screaming. It was like this school, where, like, you either took your rich child to have, like, a lower class, middle class experience, so they could be like I don't know what the word is, but they actually be like whole cutlass and buckets, and I'm like, who still uses a cutlass? It's 2010. You did lucky. What school did you go to?
Boarding school.
Oh, no. I was gonna say, because why do I need? And I said to my mom, like,
and a rake even sometimes.
A rake, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why am I planting cassava in my first year? Like, everybody at BIS is doing something different.
Wow. Wait, like, those are requirements. You guys had to have those.
Yes, they had like a list literally of things that you were supposed to bring to school.
Yeah.
Whole cutlass bucket.
Iron bucket.
And I'm saying to myself, like, why would I need a cutlass in the 20th? Like, why can't you teach me, like, modern farming techniques?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess maybe for the whole, just so you can understand that. Okay,
but look, our parents were actually doing, that's the thing that us collectively realized that, our parents are really collectively doing this, like, make my, like, spoiled child down to earth type thing. I kind of feel like if you sent your children to Christian, it was either that or it was just, like, in your price range, or you were, like, a upper middle class person who you felt like your child was too spoiled. You didn't want them to go to day school, like a different side of life and everything. And I'm like, why don't you just send me to the village, girl? Like,
that would be one.
But I'm
actually,
like, because my school is surrounded by a village, so they had all of these like traditional, like, masquerade ceremony. So you would have, like, lights on outside my school.
Oh, wow.
The bush baby conversation.
Oh yes, I remember.
Madam Coin, I said please.
Yes.
I'm like, please.
If you didn't go to boarding school, you don't know what God did for you.
I know. Thank you, Father.
Even like the myth that Madam Coin's the daughter is the daughter of somebody or the girl who owns Vivian Fowler, and that's her. And I'm thinking, if she owns Vivian Fowler, why is she in my school? Like, I'm so confused. So it was that. So
okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, so speaking about more about your music. So we noticed that it wasn't until you released the remastered piece of the album that you featured someone for the first time.
Yes.
Because we noticed, like, you don't really have, that was your only feature basically. So would you say, do you normally work with other artists? Like, do you have?
I do work with other artists. It's so funny, and I don't know whether I should say this on camera. Well, I mean. I remember I met Tenny, like, the year before she blew up. Like, her manager at the time brought her to my house. Okay. We had, like, a writing session, like, we vibed and everything. And, like, literally the next time I came to Nigeria, like, Teddy was, like, huge. But it's not more so about not working with other artists. It's about, first of all, your budget. Right. Your budget. Sure. I don't want to, like, undersell anyone. Right. Okay. And it's like, I also want to have enough in the budget to make, like, good videos, master the project. Like, I don't want to, like, give all my money away to just the feature, and then there's no money to shoot the videos, there's no money to do that. So when you're independent, you have to just be really conscious of the budget and then decide, like, what are we going to spend the money on. Femi Laya made sense on that song, because that song that he featured on, Two-Face actually, like, gave me, like, the writing credits and everything, and he was like, oh, like, we shot your first video like in your guest house, like, y'all, you can just do whatever you want with it, like.
Okay, we did wonder, like, a lot of your other albums and singles, it was mainly just you.
Yes, I feel like it was
and
important.
then we saw the one with just Tundele, so we were like, why him, and why did you choose him?
So yeah, at the time, I would say also because budgetary constraints and wanting to make something of quality, like right off the bat. But I also feel like it was important for first project. Like people should hear what I'm like without anyone, hear the sound developing. Like, it's because it's a growing process. So again, it's like if I had to choose between just getting like a art, and that's the thing about the featured, when the artist is featured on the project, that song becomes priority.
Right.
All your money goes to that song, as far as like even promotion, your budget, the video, everything. So again, I just had to make a decision at the time as an independent artist. Wrote with a bunch of people, co-produced with a bunch of people, but didn't feature anyone until Femilea came. And my manager at the time was like, I love him, I love the guitar playing, I love what he does. He was like, like Femi's like a friend of mine, I could call him and ask him. So we called him and asked him, and he was like, oh yeah, and we sent him the song. He was like, oh, I love the song, I love the other version. Like he was like, I'm going to do this, and I thought it was very kind and nice. He did it. I paid for the studio session. He played. In fact, I even had like 2 or more corrections, and he changed and he played again. So that was really great.
Perfect. So we like it did sound really good.
Do you have some other artists that you actually have worked with? Maybe it's in your bank.
Yes.
And it gets released.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing some of those
Yes,
artists?
because this song was supposed to come out in December. We've been saving this song. So it's a song that I did with one Nicole. Called Mula.
Okay.
He's my first. It was supposed to come out this Christmas, but so much stuff happened.
One day go.
I know so much about. And not only that.
Who do we need to beg?
Please.
Yeah, like even when he was unavailable to shoot the video, we got somebody to shoot the video. We just missed the submission deadline because of all the things that were happening with the single before.
Right.
But then it's like, you don't want to just put it out. Like that's your big feature. You spent a lot of money on that song. We made the video in 2020. Right. Okay. Try to get one Nicole to shoot it 3 years. Try to get one Nicole to shoot the video. My nigga has been everywhere but here. And then the next time, like he was in my city, and I'm like, I can't pay to just shoot like a scene of you alone in Atlanta when we already had set up in Nigeria when you were there. So we had to come like to a to an agreement. My boss at the time, I was doing an internship in Toronto at this time when they were like, Wendy was like, he's in Atlanta. I'm like, I don't live in Atlanta anymore. I live in Toronto now. My boss at the time, who does like the Caravana festivals and does all the festivals and performances in Toronto, was saying, y'all should watch the Boasty video. If Wendy isn't available to be in the video, you can do what they did for the Boasty video, where they got like a child that looks like him, and just to say like the lyrics and stuff, which is what we ended up doing. And that's literally how we ended up finishing the video, because my nigga was booked and busy.
So in terms of putting it out there,
when are we expecting this?
More so like probably about the summertime. Okay. Because it was either gonna be Christmas or summer. We missed the deadline for Christmas. But it was also like so many people were dropping at this time. You don't want to get, as a new artist, you don't want to get lost like in the mix. And that's like, and it's so funny, a lot of people ask me, it's like, there's so many independent artist things that you have to think about when you're not signed that like other artists don't really have to think about. Like
somebody else.
But then again, thinking about it is when they cool. Anytime you drop one,
it's gonna be
I mean, you say that.
There are people that are literally begging. Like if you check Instagram posts, they are begging.
Yes, but remember there is a
just a crumb.
But you have to remember, like, okay, when you drop, there is a momentum. So then it now becomes, okay, do you drop the EP around this time? Do you drop the EP before? Do you drop the EP after? What singles do we do before this? Because you want to make sure like you're maximizing the feature. I mean, Wendy Cole, and I saw Afro R&B, as an Afro R&B artist, Wendy Cole is like the godfather of my genre.
But
like,
so I feel like also you as an artist, working with somebody like Wendy Cole, just to hear that the way that that those two sounds can come together is definitely something that would be like exciting to hear. So I think in terms of working with artists, what else are you looking forward to this year? What else can we like? What are you most excited about?
So I typically do like a lot of different things. So when I first started in Atlanta and with performing and going around the performance circuit, we did like birthday bash, we did the Southwest Atlanta Festival, I did private events, I did the 112 Q from 112 had like a little opening at the Georgia Institute of Fashion or something. So my management at the time just made sure like I performed everywhere to get like that performance training. Unpaid. Very much unpaid. Yes, paying for more rehearsals, paying for the costumes. So once we started performing and I would make the costumes for us, people would ask us like, hey, where did y'all get this? Where did y'all get? They would ask my dancers, and my dancers would be like, hey, people are asking where we have this stuff. Like, where can they get the stuff? So I created like a little clothing line called Macan Get in Atlanta. And what was really great was because like it became like dancer focused in the sense that so when Nigerian artists are traveling and they go on tour and everything, they don't really think about like what their backup dancers are wearing. It's literally up to them to figure out what they're wearing. So all of them, because like I was an artist and I was performing, I had used like a bunch of people in the dance community in Atlanta. They would just all come to my archives and like just borrow stuff. So that was pretty much how it started. So I got clothing placements on Yemi Alade's Essence Fest. Every single time Techno came to town, like, because he would use the same dancers were friends of mine, so they would wear the clothes over and over again. They volunteered to model for free because they liked it so much. So that was kind of like where it started.
So would you be looking to like go back into or to put a bit more of your energy into clothing as well as music designing as well as music?
Yes, ever since I moved to Toronto, going back to school, second bachelor's, I decided to put it on hold because there's so many things I wanted to do. Wanted to rebrand, change designs, do, because having a clothing line,
it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's like, well, I'm just like, you're like, oh my god, like it's not easy. First of all, the shoots.
Right.
The shoots have to be high quality. They have to be good, especially. Another thing, when you're making things in Ankara, there's that kind of pressure that it has to be, whether that is anti-blackness.
No, but you do have to go the extra mile.
You have to go the extra mile.
Attractive,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like I see like people who just like have t-shirt lines and they can do whatever. But like people who sell fashion and stuff made in Ankara, especially if you're not like a wedding designer, you have to really just go the extra mile and make sure your shoots are great. And so while that was happening, we got accepted to sell on ASOS Marketplace. In fact, I did like a whole bunch of my international orders on ASOS Marketplace. International orders are so expensive. Oh my god! On ASOS Marketplace, ship, the customs, the struggle, the stress. I remember literally my first week of Macan being open, UPS losing like 3 packages and having to do an investigation. And then the people are like, the customers are like, y'all just opened last week. Why are there investigations? Why are there investigations? I'm like, I don't know, girl. I'm just struggling. I had a performance on Friday.
So you said the Ankara is usually for shooting. That's for like your videos, like your music videos, right? So how many music videos do you have actually like that's out?
A couple. I love making videos. I initially used to do all my treatments by myself, smooth operator, and like remember like the first videos that like I really like did the costuming for and the art direction and everything. And so from there, I just started doing like all the costuming for like all my videos, come up with the concepts and everything. Although now, like in this new era for the new EP, I'm like my brain is fried. I'm in school, looking for internships. Like I am at an art gallery. Like I cannot. It's too much.
So you saying maybe this year might not have as much video production compared to like?
Well, I would say we shot 2 videos last year. Including 2 videos that we shot in 2020 that are not out yet, and we're going to be shooting another sometime. It's just a lot happening. Because the plan was to shoot the videos, like new videos in the summertime. I'm going to be living in Spain though from June to July for school for some art history intensive. So I have to try to find a way to do that. My mom wants to take all of us to like on a Jakarta family trip next year as well in the summer.
This
year,
this
2023. School starts in the summer. I'm taking summer classes. I'm going to be living in Spain as well. It's just like a lot of different things.
So if you had to put everything together, music, fashion designing, school, travel, fashion art, which would you say like you're gonna give like more of your attention to? Which one is your
Especially
baby
for this year.
Right.
This year, I'm going to say that. Can I pick two? I can't pick one
Okay.
thing. I can't pick one
Okay.
thing. I would say like it's definitely going to be art and music. Art and music in the sense that like I have an EP that I recorded. I think I played it for people, sent it to people. It's interesting. It's different. I don't want to use the word good because good is subjective. I don't say great.
Of course.
But it's interesting. It's different. It sounds different. So I would say that I would focus more on music. And if I have to come back to shoot like a quick little video, I will. Like there's nothing I can do. Like I will.
No.
But this year was in my mind focused on pretty much finishing like all my art stuff for school. I'm starting my luxury appraisal courses. I just took my Hermes handbag class. I'm taking my watch class, taking my gemstones class.
So there's a lot going on.
It's actually
So art and music. And in terms of your new EP that you just recorded, how would you say is different from your early sound Ajebutter first album?
Yes.
What is the difference?
I would definitely say that it's more like compact, it's more clean, it's more streamlined. This actually happened again after my mom put me through like songwriting classes. So they had to teach me like how do Nigerian people like write music, how do African people absorb music. It's very like, and the thing about Nigeria that I love the most is that we find a way, or we have this way of like expressing like complex ideas in very simple like terms. Like a lot of little like sayings that we say and things like that. So my lane has been, even like with Naso and Deliverance, my lane has been more so like all of these sayings that we have. What is like excavating it, digging deeper. What do they actually mean? Where did they come from? And then trying to turn those ideas like into like music. Because when people ask me about like Deliverance, I'm like, we say Naso all the time. Like we say Naso all the time. But they were like, and I was like, oh, but like when I wrote the song Naso, I was thinking more of like being a young Nigerian person, going through the struggles of being in Nigeria. No lights, jobs are not paying, all of these different things.
So the Nigerian experience.
The Nigerian experience, but then also now having like people in your life who, I don't know if you guys experience this, but having Nigerian family members who you are supporting, extended, the stress of that in addition. So pretty much having all of that stuff going on and still trying to figure life out as a young Nigerian person.
Okay, so wait, where then would you say, do you see your music headed? Like, what's the vision for your music?
I always say, like I know there's going to be very niche audience. Like if there's a mainstream song that like catches, it catches. But like very, I'm cool with developing my own audience, niche, like like Lady Donnelly, Tammy Dolphins. Yes, exactly. Like Nigerian, like actually alternate female artists. Like I'm cool with doing that only because like I feel like it's better to have that be your focus, and then like accidentally have a song that catches,
that does a wanton thing,
exactly, that you're not expecting, as opposed to focusing on the mainstream and losing your niche audience. So again, just because of that's just like as far as our budget, this is the smartest thing. It makes sense.
Act accordingly.
And I feel like the journey with art and music, the journey is just as satisfying as the destination. The process of making the music is just as rewarding as when you do blow.
It is. That's my favorite. Like being in the studio, and I also all the time like doing the background vocals.
So who does
my sound engineer? I do all I do all my like co-production, my vocal production and stuff like that. And something that I didn't know that most people do is that when most people do like they sing the lead, right, and they sing the harmonies, and then they do like the other harmonies and all this. I sing the lead with the harmony notes, and my producer and my engineer is like, this we can't.
So how does he work with that? Or are you still
no,
doing
literally
that?
no. So I have to literally let's say that there's a line of song. Let me use an example. So it goes. So instead of singing it like that, I would go so that I would sing the tenor for the second half, and then do like the bass because I'm a natural tenor. I'm an alto tenor. I'm not like a soprano. So he would be like, okay, so how do we do, because you have the three harmonies
all together.
So then I have to sing every version subsequently now as soprano, alto, to make sure that the harmonies match.
Does that stretch out your
It does. It does.
Does it make it take? Is it more expensive?
Yes, it does. And this is also the thing with like also not being like classically trained. Like I didn't go to like a music college or like nobody really taught me about like, you know, the actual like what do I say, like the A's to B's of actual musical theory. Okay. Like I don't know, and also because I have dyscalculia. I have dyscalculia, so music theory, anything that involves like math, half step, half notes, I'm confused. I can't read a map. Yeah, I couldn't tell the time. I literally know. Maybe I cannot tell the time.
Can you read math?
I cannot tell the time on an analog clock till today. Imagine being the only person in SS3 class that cannot tell.
SS3, okay.
The fucking class. The fucking class. So till today, let me tell you, my friends came over. We had a friendsmas, and like I had like this huge like wall clock that I inherited from like the last people that lived there because I loved it so much. I bought it from them. And my friends came and they were like, why is your clock wrong? And I'm like, is it? Is it wrong?
Now that you say it,
because I can't tell the time. I can't tell the time. I was telling my friend, I went to the mall just to look for like a Sephora or something, and I'm looking at the map and I'm like, oh, I need help because, and the security guard comes to me, I'm like, yeah, I need help because like I'm disabled, I can't read the map. He holds my hand and begins to lead me to the store. I'm like, no, I'm blind. Like, no, I didn't say I'm blind. I just said I can't read a map. So you can just point me in the direction.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So musical theory was always hard for me. Learning instruments, particularly hard for me because like, and I think like math is like.
So do you play any right now? Any instruments?
No, but I'm making it a point to learn. I went to piano lessons as a child.
Okay.
My dad can play several musical instruments.
Wow.
Yes.
Whoa.
My little sister is like a musical prodigy, where she just picks up like any instrument. She taught herself how to produce, taught herself how to write, taught herself how to, and I'm like.
So how come you didn't really pick up any instruments?
Because like I can't do math. Yo.
Does that involve math? Does that involve
yes,
math?
the half steps,
Probably
the not steps, the
counting,
A's, the B's, and the C's, the steps. So it's in like you can show me what to do, and I can copy it, but I can't comprehend the theory behind it. And they can, which is why it was easier for them to even. Funny enough, my dad, because he's a prodigy, he doesn't comprehend. Like he can't even explain to me how to do it. He's like, oh, I just picked it up and I just did it.
Oh wow.
So like unless you can just pick it up and do it, there's nothing I can.
They can't help you.
They can't help him. Like not me being the black sheep.
So
not me being the untalented one.
So in terms of social media presence,
yes.
Like, do you engage with social media, and where can people find you, like on your social media and streaming platforms?
Yes, you can find me at MareNikae. That's Marenikae, and MareNikae on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not on Instagram like that. I mean, I update, but I'm not like on there. But if you want to like, talk to me, communicate with me, I'm on Twitter very regularly, as you know. Just being loud and problematic. So
And the same for your streaming platforms?
Streaming platforms, Spotify is on everywhere music is sold. Our new single As I Be came out recently.
And
dropping
also...
Yes, Deliverance as well came out recently. We're dropping the As I Be video soon. We're dropping the Mula video right before the summer. So it's like a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff happening.
Okay, so like maybe any last words you want to give to especially up and coming artists, especially considering that you've grown up in the scene and you have quite the experience. So quite the experience actually. So maybe some words, advice that you can just give people that are about to start doing music.
I would just say I don't know how to explain it, but just make smart decisions with your money. And just make sure you're being the best version of your craft that you can be. So whatever you're doing, try to make sure the production is good, the mixing is good, the mastering is good, the videos are good. Because even if people aren't listening to you, people are seeing that you're putting out a good quality product.
Exactly,
So even people have come to be like, oh, your music is not really for me, but I love the effort that you're putting in what you're doing and the storylines and whatever you're doing to make it look cohesive. So that's what I would say. I'll be smart with your money. money, and if anything else, put your money towards like your crafts, because those products are gonna live on forever after you.
Sounds great. Perfect.
So,
Thank you so much.
This has really been a really wonderful.
So glad. Thank you guys for
learned
having me.
a lot. Actually, like,
you know, there was what we knew, and then there was like what
stuff
we
that
didn't
blew our
know.
minds. That
And
we
I
were
was
like,
like,
huh?
way more
From your dad to Songo to one day. Oh my god.
Like we had
I know there's a lot more to bust our heads, but like
we did know there was, you know, like a background, the musical artistic background, but like not to that extent.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like, you know, you were just set on this path of music and you
That's
followed
true.
it, and you're absolutely doing, you know, what you're doing, and you're great at it. You put all your effort into it, and that is what we love. You know, that's people like yourself who we want to bring on our platform, who we want to highlight, want to showcase. They're doing great music. You know, it's not only stuff that's on the charts, and you know, although you are gonna be there, because I heard you also on the radio. So like amazing, like these days, like very good. So you know, we're rooting for you on here, and we always say to people that we bring on, we're now automatically part of your fan club.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
I'm part of your fan club. I told her. She was like, "Oh, we have this new podcast." I'm like, "I follow you."
So you're gonna invite us to your shows that you're doing
Yes,
in
exactly.
Lagos,
Yeah.
like your online fan clubs. You gotta add us, your community, you gotta add us to it.
100%.
We're part of that.
Absolutely. I wish like the first time I ever did anything in Nigeria was when I opened for Two Face at his event.
Okay.
Yes.
When was that? Was that last year?
That was in 2019, 2020.
That was good actually. That's really good.
Yes.
So to start off opening for Two Face, I mean, Nepo baby is, but not quite. But, you
Not
know.
quite.
Yeah.
The anti. The one that gets walked out of the office.
So no, thank you so much for having me, for coming
Thank you
on
guys
this
for
show, our
having me.
podcast, and talking to us. It was really lovely meeting with you, and we
Good
will,
times.
you know, see you guys next time.
See you guys
on-
next time.
Stay safe
If he's
till
an
next
LP.
time.